Hello my lovely Year 4, Mrs Cooney here with Winnie the Pooh and, wait for it, Polly Dog. And we've come here to read a story for you today. It's chapter 5 of The Iron Man by Ted Hughes. Please forgive me if I get some things wrong, because we can all do that, can't we, at times? The Space Being and the Iron Man. One day there came strange news. Everybody was talking about it. Round eyes, busy mouths, frightened voices. Everyone was talking about it. One of the stars of the night sky had begun to change. This star had been a very tiny star, of no importance at all. It had shone up there for billions and trillions and zillions of years in the constellation of Orion, that great shape of the giant hunter that strides across the space on autumn and winter nights. In all its time, this tiny star had never changed in any way. Now, suddenly, it began to get bigger. Astronomers, peering through their telescopes, noticed it at first. They watched it with worried frowns. The tiny star was definitely getting bigger. And not just bigger, but bigger and bigger and bigger. Each night it was bigger. Bigger than the dog star, the large coloured twinkler at the hill of the Hunt Orion. Bigger than Jupiter, a great blazing planet. Everyone could see it clearly night after night. As it grew and grew and grew, they stared up with frightened faces, till at last it hung there in the sky over the world, blazing down the size of the moon and deep, gloomy red. And now there could only be one explanation. That star was getting bigger because it was getting nearer and nearer and nearer. It was rushing towards the world faster than a bullet, faster than a rocket, faster than a meteorite. And if it hit the world at speed, why, the whole world would simply be blasted into bits in the twinkling of an eye. It would be like an express train hitting a bowl of goldfish. No wonder people stared up in frightened faces. No wonder the astronomers watched it through their telescopes with worried frowns. But all of a sudden, a strange thing. The star seemed to have stopped. There it hung, a deep and gloomy red, just the size of the moon. It got no smaller, it got no bigger. It wasn't coming any nearer, but it wasn't going away either. Now, everybody tried to explain why and how this was. What had happened? What was happening? What was going to happen? Now it was that next strange thing occurred. The astronomers noticed it first. In the middle of the giant star, a tiny black speck had appeared. On the second night, this speck was seen to be wiggling and much bigger. On the third night, you could see it without a telescope. A struggling black speck in the centre of the giant, gloomy red star. On the fifth night, the astronomers saw that it seemed to be either a bat or a black angel or a lizard flying, a dreadful silhouette flying out of the centre of the giant star straight towards the earth. What was coming out of that giant star? Each night, when the astronomers returned to their telescopes to peer up, this black flying horror was bigger, with slow, gigantic wing beats, with long, slow writhing of its body. It was coming down through space, outlined, the black against its red star. Within a few more nights, its shape had completely blotted out the red star. The nameless, immense bat-winged angel was flying down at Earth like a great black swan. It was definitely coming straight at Earth. It took several days to cover the distance. Then, for one awful night, its wings seemed to be filling most of the sky. The moon peered fearfully from the low on the skyline, and all the people on earth stared up, gazing in fear at the huge black movements of wings that filled the night. Next morning, it landed on Australia. Barump! It shook. Its landing rolled, shocked the earth like an earthquake, spilling teacups in London, jolting pictures off the wall in California, cracking statues off their pedestals in Russia. The thing had actually landed, and it was a terrific dragon. Terribly black, terribly scaly, terribly knobbly, terribly horned, terribly hairy, terribly clawed, terribly flanked, with a vast, indescribable, terrible eyes, each one about as big as Switzerland. There it sat, covering the whole of Australia. Its tail was trailing away over Tasmania into the sea, its foreclaws on the headlands of the Gulfs of Cappadocia. Luckily, the mountains and the hills propped its belly up, clear of the valleys, and the Australians could still move about in the pitch darkness. Under the new sky,